Remember that time a fake news story claimed President Obama had a secret prism that could spy on anyone in the world? It sounded ridiculous, yet it spread like wildfire online. People believed it, they shared it, they panicked. It turned out to be completely fabricated. No prism, no global spying operation, just a whole lot of misinformation. This is the dangerous game of fake news. It preys on our fears, biases, and desire for quick answers. It's designed to be shocking, to grab our attention, and to make us click that share button without a second thought. But the consequences of this game are far from harmless. Fake news can erode trust in legitimate institutions, fuel social division, and even incite violence. It's a weapon that can be wielded by anyone with an internet connection, and its impact can be devastating. That's why it's more important than ever to be vigilant, to question what we see online, and to demand better from our news sources. The Obama Prism hoax is just one example of how easily misinformation can spread. It's a cautionary tale about the power of fake news and the urgent need to fight back against it. We can't afford to be passive bystanders in this game. The stakes are too high. Fake news isn't just about silly hoaxes. It has real-world consequences. Take the 2016 US presidential election. Remember those stories about Hillary Clinton running a child sex ring out of a pizza place? Completely false. But they spread widely on social media, influencing public opinion and potentially affecting the outcome of the election. Then there's the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember all the misinformation about miracle cures and dangerous conspiracy theories? It created chaos and confusion, undermined public health efforts, and even led some people to reject life-saving vaccines. Fake news thrives in times of uncertainty and fear. It exploits our anxieties and vulnerabilities, making us more susceptible to manipulation. It's a tool used by those who seek to sow discord, undermine democracy, and advance their own agendas, regardless of the truth. The impact of fake news on elections and public health demonstrates its potential to destabilize societies and threaten lives. It's a clear and present danger that we can no longer ignore. We need to recognize the threat and take steps to protect ourselves from its harmful effects. The Rohingya crisis in Myanmar is a chilling example of how fake news can fuel real-world violence. False narratives about the Rohingya Muslim minority, portraying them as terrorists and a threat to national security, spread rapidly online. These lies incited hatred and fear, creating a climate of hostility that culminated in a brutal military crackdown. Thousands of Rohingya were killed, countless others were displaced, and their homes were destroyed. The international community condemned the violence, but the damage was done. Fake news had played a significant role in fueling the crisis, turning neighbor against neighbor and unleashing a wave of ethnic cleansing. The Rohingya tragedy is a stark reminder of the human cost of misinformation. It's a testament to the power of fake news to incite violence and tear communities apart. It's a wake-up call that we can't afford to ignore. We must acknowledge the role of fake news in fueling conflict and hold those responsible for spreading it accountable. We must also support efforts to combat misinformation and promote peace and understanding between different communities. Fake news doesn't just impact individual lives, it can destabilize entire economies and political systems. False rumors about companies can tank stock prices, leading to financial ruin for investors and employees. Misinformation about government policies can erode public trust and hinder effective governance. In an interconnected world, fake news can spread across borders, impacting international relations and global stability. It can be used to manipulate public opinion, sow discord among nations, and even justify military intervention. The economic and political consequences of fake news are far-reaching and potentially devastating. It's a threat to our financial well-being, our democratic institutions, and our collective security. We need to recognize the systemic risks posed by fake news and develop comprehensive strategies to mitigate its impact. This includes strengthening regulations, promoting media literacy, and holding social media platforms accountable for the content they host. So, how do we fight back against this tidal wave of misinformation? First, be skeptical. Don't believe everything you read online. If a headline sounds too outrageous to be true, it probably is. Check the source. Is it a reputable news organization or just some random blog? Look for evidence. Where does the story cite credible sources? Are there any facts to back up the claims? Be wary of emotional language and sensationalized stories designed to trigger your biases. Remember, fake news preys on our emotions, so stay calm and think critically. Don't be afraid to fact check. There are plenty of online resources available, like Snopes, factcheck.org, and PolitiFact. If you're unsure about a story, take a few minutes to verify its authenticity. It's better to be safe than sorry. Fighting fake news starts with individual responsibility. We need to be more discerning consumers of information, questioning what we see online and demanding better from our news sources. By being vigilant and informed, we can help stem the tide of misinformation. Media literacy is our best defense against fake news. It's about understanding how media works, how to critically evaluate information, and how to identify bias and manipulation. It's about empowering ourselves to be informed, discerning citizens. We need to teach media literacy in schools, starting at a young age. We need to equip people with the tools to navigate the complex world of online information and make informed decisions. We need to foster a culture of critical thinking and healthy skepticism. Media literacy is not just about spotting fake news, it's about understanding the broader media landscape, recognizing the influence of algorithms and social media platforms, and being aware of our own biases. By empowering ourselves with media literacy skills, we can become more resilient to misinformation, less susceptible to manipulation, and more confident in our ability to navigate the digital world. Social media platforms have a responsibility to combat the spread of fake news on their platforms. They need to invest in robust fact-checking mechanisms, partner with reputable news organizations, and develop effective strategies to flag and remove false content. They also need to be more transparent about their algorithms and how they prioritize content. We need to understand how these algorithms work, how they influence our news feeds, and how they can be manipulated to spread misinformation. Tech giants have the resources and the reach to make a significant impact in the fight against fake news. They need to step up and take responsibility for the content they host, prioritizing user safety and the integrity of information over profits. By working together, tech companies, governments, and civil society organizations can create a safer and more trustworthy online environment, where truth and accuracy prevail over misinformation and deception. In the age of fake news, reliable journalism is more important than ever. We need journalists to hold the powerful accountable, to uncover the truth, and to provide us with accurate and unbiased information. Yet, journalism is under attack. News organizations are facing financial pressures, political interference, and online harassment. We need to support quality journalism by subscribing to reputable news sources, donating to non-profit media organizations, and advocating for press freedom. We need to recognize the vital role that journalists play in a functioning democracy and provide them with the resources and support they need to continue their essential work. By investing in quality journalism, we are investing in a more informed and engaged citizenry, a stronger democracy, and a more just and equitable society. Fighting fake news is not just the responsibility of journalists, tech companies, or governments. It's a collective responsibility that requires the participation of every citizen. We all have a role to play in fostering a culture of truth and accountability, but we need to be more mindful of what we share online, to think critically about the information we consume, and to challenge misinformation when we see it. We need to hold ourselves and others accountable for spreading falsehoods. We need to create a culture where truth is valued, where evidence matters, and where accountability is the norm. We need to reject the cynicism and apathy that allow fake news to flourish. By working together, we can create a more informed and engaged citizenry, a stronger democracy, and a more just and equitable society. The future of news is uncertain, but one thing is clear: we are living in an era of information overload. We are bombarded with news from all directions, from social media to 24-hour news channels to online forums. It can be overwhelming and difficult to discern what is true and what is false. We need to develop new strategies for navigating this complex information landscape. We need to teach critical thinking skills, promote media literacy, and develop tools to help us filter and verify information. We need to empower ourselves to be discerning consumers of news, to be skeptical of what we see online, and to demand better from our news sources. The future of news depends on our ability to adapt to this new information environment, to embrace critical thinking, and to demand truth and accountability from those who provide us with information.